So The Shape of Water is a love story embedded in a rich tapestry of mythic symbolism. It's about two improbable lovers, Eliza and a sea creature. It speaks to our time, challenging the prevailing patriarchal prejudice against others who come wrapped differently by gender, race, sexual orientation, political worldview. It draws from a legendary South American Amazonian sea creature, who you see here, Yakaruna, that seems threatening. But his sea creature, the one in the shape of water, is absolutely other. He symbolizes our hidden divine powers of love and creation. Viewing it through the lenses of Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell, The Shape of Water reveals a deeply archetypal narrative beneath its fantastic surface. The story suggests fear is at the root of our universal unwillingness to face our shadow, which symbolically lurks below the water psychically in the dark, murky unknown. That fear is the driving force behind all wars, economic greed, exploitation, racism, tribalism, prejudice, torture, and murder, all which snuff out not just love, but the power to speak up, to have a voice, be empowered, sovereign, creative, and magical. It also diminishes and silences, subjugating women as much as the beautiful love and the divine feminine, often portrayed as Mary Magdalene, who individually and systematically supports the oppressed and marginalized. The monsters of legend who roamed the deep were once portrayed as fearsome, as in the legend of the Amazonian Yakaruna, who was a mythological god who lived in the depths of the Amazon rivers and lakes. He charmed and tricked young girls, making them fall in love with him. Later they disappeared, never to be seen again. He was evil. And the biblical Leviathan, who was a serpent demon who ate the damned. So we see that the sea creature that lived beneath our consciousness was portrayed as evil. But this is the opposite. This story turns the ancient legends of a terrifying underwater sea monster into a gentle, loving, beloved soulmate, perhaps suggesting we need not fear what lingers beneath our watery consciousness. In the film, it is the humans who are manipulative, deceptive, cunning, and monstrous, while the sea creature, and actually, I don't want to point to the humans so much as the military, industrial complex, the multinational corporations, the greed. So what if we wrote a new story, one in which we embrace that creature we fear in our deep unconscious, even fall in love with him as we fall freely into the deep unknown within us, with courage rather than fear? That is the new story. As myth, The Shape of Water reaches deep into our inner selves beyond the age-old toxic patriarchy that has dominated civilizations for thousands of years, that is ever-judging, cold, cruel, controlling, even stifling, including prejudicial, selfish, egoic, heartless, oppressive, silencing the boundless, unconditionally loving, creative, courageous soul of our divine selves, which is the divine feminine, which according to Jung would best serve as an equal partner to divine masculinity. It is love that is missing from patriarchy's cold, cruel, murderous militancy. In the story, we feel the hypocrisy of the toxic masculinity in sharp contrast to the power of a sensitive divine masculinity, of a doctor who gives his life to protect Eliza and her beloved sea creature. What kind of persons would protect and love a scaly green, even frightening-looking water monster who has the power to heal, even bring the dead to life? Shakespeare wrote, "Love looks not with the eyes but with the mind, and therefore is winged Cupid painted blind, nor hath love's mind of any judgment taste." Using ancient symbols, The Shape of Water retells the ultimate tale of humanity. A first birth in water as a mother gives birth, then our struggle and our collective status quo, which in the Matrix is the Matrix, our collective consensual reality. Yet it's not real, just a collectively agreed upon reality since the beginning. In The Shape of Water, it's both a military-industrial complex, a global corporate greed machine, and the prejudicial status quo. Often that struggle leads to death to whomever challenges it. But in the myth, the hero finds rebirth, resurrection and enlightenment, Neo in the Matrix, Eliza in the shape of water, and Jesus who attained full Christhood and resurrection in his story. Our first birth is from our mother, but the second is from the Holy Spirit, born out of a higher love. It is the ultimate birth, the birth of our true self, our universal divine nature, which travels a perilous, often lonely journey through struggle, and ultimately death to the false self. To be reborn into our divine nature, which through the heroic struggle transcends all earthly boundaries to achieve eternal life. If you have seen The Shape of Water, you realize Eliza, who works in a government laboratory, falls in love with an Amazonian sea creature whom the government is planning to kill. She evades the captors in an effort to liberate him. While she finally manages to get him safely back into the ocean, she is shot and killed in the process by those pursuing her. As she falls lifeless into the water, the creature embraces her and breathes new life into her. Her latent gills open as they swim away together. Her life has been renewed. As water is a medium in which life is born, its fluidity is a perfect metaphor for developing psychic spiritual life. Our subconscious, that part of our psyche that remains beyond ordinary conscious reach, speaks to us through outer events and images, which, if we have the mind to understand their meaning, points us toward that which we need to see to reach greater awareness and enlightenment. This makes this fantastic story a myth. Everything points to a deeper awareness, and maybe nothing is what it seems at first sight. So water is a common symbol for the unconscious. These are some of the things that Jung has said and written about water. The lake in the valley is the unconscious, which lies, as it were, underneath consciousness. So it is often referred to as the subconscious, usually with the pejorative connotation of an inferior consciousness. Water is a valley spirit, the water dragon of Tao, whose nature resembles water a yang, embraced in the yin. Psychologically, water means spirit that has become unconscious. So the dream of the theologian is quite right in telling him that down by the water he could experience the working of the living spirit, like a miracle of healing in the pool of Bethesda. The descent into the depths always seems to precede the ascent, Carl Jung said. When one is awoken from Muladhara, one goes into the water, which represents the unconscious, where one faces the Leviathan, crocodile, from the depths which are one's own demons. The Leviathan is the biggest and most fearsome creature of the watery depths, but it represents the same animal as the elephant, the one that supports your earthly life, seems to become your worst enemy when you reach the next center, because here you leave this world, and anything that hangs around is your worst enemy. So first we fall away from the status quo, out of the ordinary, the false, into the unknown, the desert, the deep, the true, until we awaken the love that lies within us, which we are and always have been. We are born anew to love with courage as dynamic new creatures. We are changed and charged with divine power and luminescence. Then we are gods, healers, lovers, artists of life, freedom fighters with golden wings. But before we can enter into our true self, our divine immortal self, and our creative power and authentic self, we need to wake up, realize our collusion with the falseness around us, renounce our former participation, even our former lives, and disengage from that which persecutes, oppresses, is greedy, selfish, stifling, silencing, and mean. The first step is to turn away. The next is to open our hearts in truth and love, to be true to ourselves and to the poor, the marginalized, those who are different, very different. and love them unconditionally, with our whole heart. Even be willing to not violate our truth, even if it costs us our life. It's pretty strong. As we open our hearts to others, we open our hearts to ourselves. In Greek, that is metanoia. We see this important step in actions taken by all the characters in the film who help Eliza liberate the sea creature. So whether Eliza, and here is Eliza, finally, you get to meet the main character. She, by the way, is mute. That's why I keep talking about the powers that silence us. She's mute. Whether Eliza is doing a secret two-step bearing her body to her aquatic paramour, or spinning into a musical fantasy number, she's alive and beautiful and represents the beauty of feminine innocence, longing, and sexuality, symbolized by her red shoes. She is radiantly alive yet voiceless. She may represent the tragic suppression of women's and minority sexual and soul expression, which is silenced by the oppression of the unbalanced, controlling, patriarchal, homophobic culture in 1962, the era in which the story occurs. She is presented as innocent yet sexual, brave yet afraid, mute yet expressive. Her journey is one of individuation, integrating all aspects of the self. By loving the sea creature, she integrates the unconscious and transcends her limitation, even her muteness, and in the end, gains her voice. So now we have Giles, a 1960s gay man, and Guillermo del Toro is the producer, director of The Shape of Water. He's a brilliant artist, neighbor, and best friend to mute Elisa. He's lonely, but strives for a better life, usually through his art. Yet he is forced by the social conventions of the time to hide his sexuality, even though he pines for a young waiter. A literal fish out of water story, the film is a metaphor for what it means to be the other. This film is also about tolerance and acceptance. You can't control who you love. Whose right is it to tell you who you can or cannot love? His capacity to love is great, as Eliza's next-door neighbor, and as much as misfit as she, the two have bonded. Ultimately, he provides vital support to freeing the creature by shooting a guard. He was willing to take risks to help in the cause. And then Zelda is Eliza's co-worker and friend, a big-hearted woman who saves the spot for Eliza every morning in the line to pick up their punch cards because her friend just can't seem to get to work on time. She does this so Eliza is never late on her punch card. Though she tells Eliza it's insanity to attempt to rescue the sea creature, she helps her. Rather than give up on Eliza when questioned about the disappearance of the sea creature, Zelda intends to keep her mouth shut, even if it hurts her in the process. She is firm in her convictions, does her duty even though it's thankless, and does a good job. But above all, she knows that it's okay to bend the rules for a higher cause. And by the way, another theme that's throughout the film is the 1960s were very prejudiced against blacks. So here we got people that were prejudiced against. They're the other. Then there's Dr. Hofstadter, is one of the most quietly fascinating characters in The Shape of Water. He's a double agent, a Russian spy, and U.S. military laboratory scientist. He was ordered to kill and dissect the creature, torn between doing what he's ordered to do, to which, as a doctor, he was truly opposed. Ultimately, he chooses to help the others break the sea creature out of the Occam Aerospace Research Center. Of the four people who participate in this risky rescue, it is Dr. Hofstadter who is the most precarious position, being a spy, and the one with the weakest personal connection to compel him to pray. He had nothing to gain. It was just a moral conviction. He had no special relationship, but he actively helps to rescue the creature. He chose the sacred path to save life, but he paid dearly. His change of heart, struggle to do the right thing, and ultimate death are a full statement of the journey which tragically may lead to death of one's life for the greater good. And here is Strickland. He represents the persona, the tyrant ego, the persona gone rigid, the mask of societal conformity. He's like, what's his name in The Matrix? Uh, who's the bad guy? There's like 1,000.
The guy who's like now, like Mr. Smith.
Yes, Agent Smith. He's like Agent Smith. Totally in conformity, toxic masculinity. His obsession with order and dominance reflects the ego's fear of the unknown. Love is courageous. It's not afraid. It's courageous because it points to love. La cœur, courageous, means the heart. His violence toward the creature whom he tortures is the ego's attempt to suppress the unconscious. I mean, if we free our unconscious, nobody can control us. So they're going to want to control you. And then, okay, so here they are together. There's Strickland and there's the general. He's ultimate evil. So this is General Hoyt visits the T4 facility and a top secret research facility in the 60s. Eliza is being, we already know all this. And then another thing that's very interesting is the color green. If you've noticed, there's green throughout. Green is the color of the heart chakra. It's also the color of life and nature. So, I'm sorry, I'm probably going over our time. Are we okay? Okay. Green, lush with sunlight's chlorophyll, reflecting the fecundity of life. Green is the chakra color of the heart, of the human being, and the planet herself. Everything in the film is green, all around. The walls, the clothes, the uniforms, even Strickland's car. Symbolically, I think the message here is this story is framed within the garden of life, with the proverbial power struggle between good and evil, between death and life. Yet life is always the winner, even if some die. The water symbolizes the eternality of life, in this dimension and in the many other dimensions. Life is at the heart of love and sexuality, and is especially evident in water, the fluid in which life gestates. So a quote from Ruby really spoke to me here. Out beyond ideas of right doing and wrong doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep.